Hello, my wonderful students. It's my pleasure to have you here today. The topic we are considering today is public corporation. In this topic, I will be exposing you to the meaning of public corporation, the functions, and some other concepts related to public corporation. First, let's look at the lesson objectives. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to define public corporation, discuss the functions performed by public corporation, and also state the problems of public corporation. Now, let's look at the meaning of public corporation. What does public corporation mean? Public corporation can be defined as government establishment set up by an act of parliament to provide essential services like electricity, postal services, pipe-borne water, and so many others. So they are establishments set up by government to provide essential services for the masses. Public corporations are usually managed by a board of directors, and this board of directors are headed by a person known as the chairman. Now, what are the examples of public corporation? There are so many examples of public corporation. One of them is Water Corporation. We have the Federal Radio Corporation, the Nigeria Railway Corporation, and also we have the famous National Energy Power Authority known as NEPA. So, what are the characteristics of public corporation? When we say characteristics, we mean the various features, that is, those unique qualities that distinguish public corporation from the normal civil service. Now, what are the various characteristics? One, public corporations are usually owned by the government. They are owned and controlled by government and not private individuals. So private individuals do not control public corporation. Rather, they are owned by the government. Again, another characteristics of public corporation is that it helps to render essential services to the masses. That is, they are mainly set up to provide essential services for the people. Of course, these services include water, electricity, and what have you. Also, another characteristics is that it is, or they are usually created by a special act, which means that public corporations are created by act of parliament. This means that public corporation can only come into existence by the laws. Also, another feature of public corporation is that they have a legal standing. What does that mean? In other words, they can sue and be sued, which means that public corporation can take an individual or even establishment to court, and also they can as well be taken to court. Again, we have board of directors. Board of directors are the individuals, group of people who direct the affairs of public corporation, and the appointments of board of directors are political. Again, another feature of public corporation is independent decisions. Public corporations can take some independent decisions without the government because they have that independence to make decisions, certain decisions on their own, unlike the civil service. Now, there is also condition of service as one of the features. This means that the condition of service is different from that of the civil service. The condition of service in public corporations is quite different. Another feature of public corporation is the workers within the public corporations. These workers are called public servants compared to workers within the civil service that are called civil servants. So the workers within the public corporation are called public servants. Now let's look at reasons for setting up public corporation. What are the various reasons why government would set up public corporation? What prompts the setting up of public corporation? There are several reasons for that. And one of it is provision of essential services. Public corporations are set up mainly to provide essential services for the people. To provide essential services for the people. Again, another reason for setting up public corporation is to prevent exploitation, to prevent private individuals from getting involved in these services, which may result to exploitation of the people by these private individuals. Another one is raising people's standard of living. Raising people's standard of living. Increase in productivity and constant supply of these essential services provided by public corporation can improve the standard of living of people. Again, there is economic growth. Efficient and adequate provision of these facilities can stimulate or generate investment for both local and foreign businessmen. Again, there is efficient management and proper control. This means that the government sees itself as having the ability and the potentials to manage these services better than private individuals. So that will give room for efficiency. Again, there is revenue generation. Government may establish public corporation for the purpose of generating revenue, for the purpose of creating more wealth for both the government and the people. Let's look at the functions of public corporations. There are so many functions. They include provision of essential services, provision of employment, it promotes economic development, and so on and so forth. There are so many other functions. Again, let's look at the control of public corporation. What are the various control of public? When we say control, it means ways public corporations are being controlled. They could be controlled by the legislature and even the executive. However, let's look at this one after the other. We have the legislative control. Legislative control of public corporations is all about the act of parliament that set up the public corporation and then give it guidelines on how to operate. Sometimes there is also auditing by the parliament. We have ministerial control. Ministerial control has to do with when the minister controls the public corporation, sometimes by dissolving the board of directors, appointing and dismissal of senior officers, and some other actions that could be taken by the minister. We also have the judicial control. The judicial control has to do with court declaration, the declaration by court and court injunctions. The actions of public corporation and chairman can be declared unconstitutional by the courts. Again, we have the financial control. Most public enterprises depend to a large extent on government for allocation, especially in terms of the money using to finance it. So such money comes out of the budget of the government, and so they have to give annual report. Let's look at the concept privatization. Privatization is a policy of the government created to make individuals, corporate bodies, the opportunity to take over ownership and control of government enterprises, companies, and so on. And the reasons for privatization is to introduce efficient management, to give room for individual participation, and also for industrial autonomy. Again, let's look at another concept, which is commercialization. Commercialization is a state policy of making companies, enterprises, parastatals, etc. to be more efficient and even more profit oriented. So commercialization makes enterprises to be more efficient and profit oriented. And reasons for commercialization is to introduce efficient management. Two, revenue generation. Again, it is profit oriented. So the aim of commercialization is for the government to make more profit. Now let's look at deregulation. Deregulation is the process of removing state regulations. It is the process of removing state regulations. The state remove its own restrictions and regulations from the company. Now, what are the advantages of deregulation? One, we have competitiveness to give room for competition. Two, we have efficiency. Thirdly, deregulation gives room for wider choice for consumers. And again, it develop and give room for new ideas. In conclusion, it is the function of government to provide essential services to the people. However, the government sometimes privatize some enterprises to give room for efficiency, innovation and creativity. For your assignment, I want you to define public corporation, discuss the functions performed by public corporation, and state the problems faced by public corporation. Do this assignment in your notes until we meet again in our next class. Goodbye. Thank you very much.